The rain has just stopped. The air is still wet and cold. And then you see it, a perfect arc of color stretched across the sky from one horizon to the other. 7 colors arranged in an order they always appear in, colors that don't exist anywhere else in the world in quite this arrangement, hanging in the sky for a few minutes and then simply gone. You know what it is. You know it's sunlight refracting through water droplets. You know exactly why it appears and exactly why it disappears. And knowing all of that doesn't fully explain why. For a few seconds, something in you still wants to stop and look. For most of human history, nobody had the explanation. They just had the rainbow. And that's a completely different experience. Let's start with what a rainbow actually does to the human visual system, before any culture or mythology gets involved. When you see a rainbow, your brain receives something it almost never receives: a perfectly ordered spectrum of color arranged in a precise arc across the entire field of vision, appearing in a sky that moments before contained nothing remarkable. The specific combination of features is almost uniquely striking among natural phenomena. It is large, spanning the full width of the visible sky. It is colorful, the colors more saturated than almost anything else visible in a natural landscape. It is temporary, appearing and disappearing on a timescale of minutes. It is regular, always the same arc, always the same color order, reliable enough to feel intentional. And it is unreachable. Every attempt to approach a rainbow reveals it, retreating at exactly the rate you advance. For a brain evolved to detect patterns and assign significance to anything large, colorful, temporary, regular, and unreachable, this combination is almost a perfect stimulus. A rainbow doesn't just catch the eye, it catches every cognitive system designed to notice that something important might be happening. In Norse mythology, this response produced Bifröst, the burning bridge connecting the world of humans to Asgard, the realm of the gods, guarded by Heimdall, who never slept, traversed by gods descending to walk among humans and by worthy dead ascending after battle, structurally essential to the Norse cosmological order. When Bifröst shattered at Ragnarok, it was not the end of a rainbow but the destruction of the only road between worlds, which is a categorically different thing. The Norse didn't see a pretty optical effect after rain. They saw the infrastructure of the universe briefly made visible. In ancient Greek mythology, the rainbow was Iris, a goddess and messenger, the direct communication channel between the Olympian gods and the world below. When a god had something to say to a mortal, they sent it by rainbow. The goddess Iris traveled the arc from divine to human. With the same reliability, the rainbow itself always appeared. After rain, from sky to earth briefly, and then gone. The Greeks made the rainbow a postal system. In the Hebrew Bible, after the flood, the rainbow appears as a covenant, a specific promise made by God to Noah that the world would not be destroyed by water again. Not a decoration, not an optical accident. A legally binding agreement written across the sky, available for every subsequent human to read and reread whenever it appeared. The rainbow became the oldest continuously renewed contract in the Western theological tradition. In the mythology of the indigenous Amazonian Daisena people, the rainbow is associated with fertility and the serpent, a vast rainbow boa that created the earth. In Hawaiian mythology, the rainbow was used by gods and heroes as a pathway to travel between earth and the divine realm, echoing the Bifröst of a culture that never had contact with the Norse. In Aboriginal Australian traditions, the rainbow serpent is one of the oldest and most powerful spiritual beings, a creator deity whose movements shaped the landscape and whose presence in water holes is still acknowledged today. In Hindu cosmology, Indra's bow, the divine weapon of the king of gods, is the rainbow, a literal divine instrument rather than a bridge or a message. Different languages, different continents, different cosmologies, and yet the same essential cluster of interpretations emerging independently across all of them. The rainbow is a bridge, or it is a message, or it is a divine instrument, or it is a being. Always something intentional, always something that crosses the gap between the human world and whatever lies beyond it. Always something temporary, visiting briefly and then withdrawing. This convergence is not coincidence. It's the same cognitive pattern that built mythology around earthquakes, volcanoes, and hot springs throughout this series. The human brain, encountering something too large, too striking, and too apparently intentional to process as random, and reaching for the only explanation that satisfies. Something made this. Something is communicating. But rainbows produce a slightly different mythological response than disasters do. Earthquakes and volcanoes generate mythology built primarily around threat and appeasement. How do we calm whatever is doing this? How do we survive it? Rainbows, appearing after the threat of the storm has passed, produce mythology built around communication and covenant. Whatever made this isn't currently trying to hurt you, it's showing you something. The timing, after rain, when the danger is over, wires the rainbow's emotional register differently from the beginning. There is a specific detail in the cross-cultural rainbow mythology that is worth pausing on. In nearly every tradition that treats the rainbow as a bridge or pathway, the rainbow moves. It isn't fixed to a single location. It appears in different parts of the sky at different times. It retreats when approached. These are properties that a natural bridge doesn't have but that a living messenger absolutely would. The rainbow's apparent motion, always keeping distance from the observer, appearing in different places on different days, made it read as a directed act rather than a static feature. It wasn't just a bridge. It was a bridge that chose where to appear. This detail, the rainbow's apparent intentionality in its own positioning, is one of the clearest examples in the natural world of how powerfully the human agent detection system can be triggered. A rainbow doesn't choose where to appear, but because it always appears to be at a distance from wherever you're standing, because it vanishes if you move toward it, because it can appear in different directions on different occasions, it produces, in an observing human brain, the strong impression of a presence that is aware of where you are. The rainbow is the natural world's most convincing accidental performance of intention. Today, you know what a rainbow is. You have seen photographs of them, read the physics, learned about wavelengths and refraction angles in school. You have probably seen hundreds of them. The mechanism is familiar, the mystery dissolved, and yet, there is something that still happens in the first second of seeing one, before the knowledge catches up. Something that activates before you consciously identify what you're looking at. A brief, involuntary widening of attention. A moment of something that feels close to the cognitive state the ancient explanations were reaching for. Not superstition, not ignorance, but a genuine and very old recognition that this specific combination of features in the visual field is worth stopping for, worth looking at, worth noting as different from the ordinary sky. The knowledge of what a rainbow is arrived very recently in human history. The response to what a rainbow looks like has been in place for much, much longer. And for a few seconds every time, the response comes first. You see an arc of color after rain. Something in you slows down, something in you looks. Not because you don't know what it is, because something older than that knowledge still remembers that this is worth stopping for, that this specific pattern in the sky has always, for as long as humans have been looking up, meant that something was there. Whatever that something was,